Jeff Tourial from the West Coast Conference joining you from the Orleans Arena here in Las Vegas. The 2012 Zappos.com West Coast Conference Championships are underway. I'm joined by the radio voice of the BYU Cougars, Greg Wrubell. And Greg, obviously you're just getting here to Vegas, but your impressions on your first year for BYU in the West Coast Conference?
Well, I think Coach Rose puts it really well when he talks about there being so many maybe similar things, yet so many different things about this season. Some of the similarities are being in many of the buildings they've been in before. There weren't too many new WCC venues for the staff. Gonzaga, of course, the Kennel being one. And coming to Las Vegas, of course, is very familiar this time of year. But different arena, different time of year, just enough different things to make it a very unique season for BYU. Clearly, a first season in a new league is going to bring a lot of novelty about it, but I think BYU went through it feeling a lot of the same competitive challenges they had in the Mountain West Conference. Certainly this league proved to be at the top as strong as its previous home, and clearly with with a third place finish, they weren't walking into any kind of easy situation. It was as much of a challenge as they thought it would be, and it's interesting that they were picked to finish third before the season, which is exactly where they ended up.
Absolutely. Allow you to speak for the entire BYU fan base. Are they surprised by what they've found in the West Coast Conference, do you think?
I don't think so. I really do believe that that Gonzaga-St. Mary's dynamic duo was so well established and so nationally respected that BYU felt it would be in the mix with them, but competing with them. I think being picked third was not necessarily any kind of dose of reality, but it was a clear recognition that this is a very tough league at the top, and you aren't just going to walk in and be expected to take it from the get-go, which they did not do. And going to St. Mary's in their conference opener in Moraga, the 29th, 30th of December, right around there, being beaten the way they were, I think really made a lot of players, if not the coaches, certainly realize right away what they were in for.
We hear from coaches and student athletes about what it's like to participate in any kind of tournament where you don't know who you're going to play until 24 hours or less before the game. What about you as a broadcaster? What's that like?
Well, I kind of like the not knowing in a way. I mean, coaches hate it. And BYU's been the one seed recently in the Mountain West Conference. They'd come to Vegas, wait for the 8-9 game, and see who they're going to play the next day. I kind of like it because I get to sit through the game the night before, imagining the possibilities of the next day. So while it doesn't really fit the typical routine in terms of game prep, I kind of like it. It's again, coaches and players probably don't like it as much. It's a lot to compress in a very short period of time. But it's kind of that novelty and the unique challenge of tournament play.
And for BYU on the court, I mean, of course, so much has been made from the West Coast Conference as BYU entered about Jimmer, and now, of course, Jimmer being gone. Well, that was a season ago. So this BYU team, what do they need to do well this weekend to get to Monday and win on Monday?
Well, I'm sure they hope that Noah Hartsock was in better shape health-wise. That's a really serious blow to the team. BYU's best player, most consistent player. Brandon Davies led the team in scoring in league play, but Noah Hartsock really carried this team throughout the season. And him getting hurt in the Santa Clara game really cast a bit of a shadow over their closing week. As you saw, he could not really go at Gonzaga. Sat out senior day versus Portland, very tough for him. And he comes into this week having, I'll say, rested for 8 days. Not really a rest. He's been working hard to get back. And so a lot of what BYU or its fan base might expect this weekend is kind of hanging on how Noah Hartsock is feeling. Clearly it was a tough go without him at Gonzaga. They played well against Portland without him. And with an extra week to work, maybe without him being 100%, they probably have maybe a better feel for how they'll play without him. But I think a lot of what they want to do and get done depends on how well Noah Hartsock is, and that still remains a mystery at this point.
And final question for you, obviously having been around the conference throughout the season, the coaches voted on the major awards and the all-conference teams. Any surprises to you?
Let's see. I personally felt, now again, the media don't vote, but if I had a ballot, I have my own ballot made up. I really thought that what Randy Bennett did at St. Mary's this year, as much as I respect Max Good getting 10 wins out of Loyola Marymount, they hadn't had 10 wins in a long, long time, as you know, in league. Fantastic job by Max dealing with adversity and health issues. But, wow, a first outright championship in 23 years and knocking Gonzaga off their 11-year perch, I thought that was special. And so I think Randy Bennett would have gotten my vote. There were a couple of little quibbles, but nothing too major. Of course, as a BYU guy, I think what Brandon Davies did defensively was maybe under-recognized in terms of someone who, tied for the league in block shots with Robert Sacre. Was a big man who's top 5 in steals, which is rare. Draws so many charges. Good defensive force. So again, I don't want to get too far down the line, but yeah, a couple of things. But for the most part, really reflected the quality and the caliber of competition in this league. And there are good players top to bottom. As Coach Rose and I were talking this week, whether it's the all-freshman team or the 10-man all-player team, those players are going to stack up with a ton of leagues around the country at the very top.
Well, Greg, thanks for the time. Enjoy your experience here.
You bet. Already enjoying it. Look forward to the weekend.
That's Greg Wrubell. I'm Jeff Tourial. Thanks for joining us on WCCSports.com.